Hi everyone, welcome to week 2. I know you have put in a lot of work in the first week and really started to dive into some of the really important topics for global health. Um, so this week we only have one chapter that you have to read when we're looking at the socioeconomic, cultural, and political determinants of health. Um, Obviously, this is one that is going to be really crucial and sometimes overlooked when we're looking at health and health trends and different things as a part of the world that can influence different entities, different communities, and really looking at how you know our economics, our culture, political views or climates can really make a difference on health impacts. The other thing that you will have to do this week is focus on the ethics module and complete an ethical viewpoint assignment. So for this week, you will have your Chapter 3 quiz and the discussion board assignment. And I wanted to touch a little bit on what this ethics module looks like. So in here, you are going to find, if you click on this, it's really just going to give a big overview of what it means to think critically about ethics and just really looking at different ethical viewpoints and ethical reasoning. And really why this is so important to health and how we move forward with, identifying our own personal driving force in really a lot of, different debates and things that are involved within ethical dilemmas. We're looking at it from our own personal standpoint, and so this can sometimes put a name to what that standpoint is. So here you'll see we have metaethics, divine command, natural law, Kant, categorical imperatives, utilitarianism, contractarianism, Aristotle, virtue theory, and then you'll also have printable versions down below for your own notes. So I would recommend taking the time to go over each one of these individually, looking at the printouts, and then moving into the discussion board. So this is the secondary reading. So you'll have chapter 3 and then you'll go through the ethical module. And then here is really kind of the meat of this week, what we're going to be focused on. So you're going to really throughout this course spend a lot of time looking at different ethical frameworks and identifying and analyzing their influences on global health concerns. So this one that we're focusing on this time is vaccines. And a lot of these ethical dilemmas are hot topics and create a divide, and it really can be polarizing. And so one thing that I will strongly stress is if at any point anybody's discussion board becomes attacking in any way or more of a personal, viewpoint where somebody attacks a person's character because of the way they think or what ethical orientation they have chosen, they will get an automatic 0 for the assignment. And it could be a beautiful post, but any attacking and anything that even resembles being personal in any way will be automatically a 0 in the grade book. So for this one, we're looking at reflecting on vaccines or vaccine mandates and exploring the ethical viewpoint that supports them. So what you need to do is really look at an ethical viewpoint which is in support of vaccines and vaccine mandates and explain why you chose this viewpoint. So not only do you have to identify which viewpoint would be in support of these, but why you think it's in support. So a really strong post is going to be in depth. It's going to tell me more information about why you chose it, kind of the background, and how you got to that answer. Don't just tell me, I think it is this viewpoint because they believe in this. That's not enough for full credit. You really, at this point in the game or in your college career, you should be able to tell and explain why you got to that answer and more analysis behind it. So not only do you have to find one that is in support of vaccines, but you also need to do a counter ethical viewpoint and explain why you chose that one. So which one would not be in favor of a vaccine or a vaccine mandate? Um, so one thing I want to stress, and I'm going to highlight it. So you are not required to align your personal beliefs with the stances you take in this assignment. So you could choose something totally different than the way you actually believe, and it would give you a chance to kind of push yourself a little bit and, take on an outside adaptation than what you would typically feel. But you can really look at, your own personal beliefs as well, but just remember that we're not taking anything personally. There's no personal attacks, and this is not about anybody's character or um, own personal belief system. And so that's going to be the really important thing to remember for this. So you have your initial post, which includes those two viewpoints that you have to identify, one in support of vaccines and one not in support of vaccines. And then you need to respond to at least 3 of your peers. So again, these should be meaningful. These should be intentional posts that are not saying great post or I really like the way you think or I hadn't thought about it like that. It needs to be deeper. You need to push the conversation forward, ask a question, or relate it to your own answer in some way. And then really, if you can, try to choose a post that includes different ethical viewpoints than your initial post. So you're not just looking at the same information over and over again. So that's the main assignment for this week is this ethical viewpoint, really starting to get into really analyzing the different ethical and moral actions and orientations and how this drives, you know, why somebody does what they do and what that decision making process looks like. And so I really like the ethical viewpoints that we review, and it really does really help with kind of identifying and naming, really somebody's own personal philosophy and decision-making models that they have with so many of the different topics. Things like abortion, vaccines, we have, genetically modified um, stem cell research. It's a lot. There's a lot of different areas in which people have very, very personal and real ethical and moral orientations. And this really just starts that conversation. So I hope everyone has a wonderful week. Let me know if you have any questions. But this is going to be the second week of the semester. Good job. I know this is still a lot, but we are definitely getting into the meat of global health and looking at applying this to our own lives as well. Okay, have a great week.